What is up? It is Ty Hart from Remax Alliance. This week, I wanted to talk about HOAs, and are HOAs good or are HOAs evil? There's a story going on right now about a neighborhood in Denver, the Green Valley Ranch neighborhood, where the HOA has been foreclosing on properties. There have been 119 foreclosures in Denver in 2021, and 50 of those foreclosures were in Green Valley Ranch. And it seems like a lot of these foreclosures were for really dumb reasons, like grass that was too long and that kind of thing. So it got me thinking, are HOAs good or are HOAs evil? And for me, it's kind of somewhere in between. It really depends on the HOA and it really depends on what you want to get out of the neighborhood. So I want to give an example. I saw a property last weekend with a buyer, and it was a really nice house. The landscaping was really well done. It had really nice curb appeal. But the house that was right next door to it had trucks just spilling out of the driveway, like 4 or 5 different trucks. They had UTVs and ATVs and all of this gear just there. On the house on the other side of the neighborhood, they had oil cans stacked up on the side of the house that were totally visible from the house that we were looking at. Now, this was a neighborhood that had no HOA. And so the homebuyer had some second thoughts about whether or not they wanted to choose this particular home, given what the neighbors' houses look like. Now, if the neighborhood had an HOA, there would have been rules that said you can't have oil cans out front and you can't have your entire fleet of vehicles parked in the driveway. And so that would have been something that would have really done what the HOA's job is to do, which is keep the values of the neighborhood and the property values high. It would have helped protect the property values of the house that we were looking at. But at the same time, it might have taken away some of the enjoyment of the properties that these other folks were at. Like maybe not so much the oil cans, but these folks who had the trucks and the UTVs, like where else are they going to park them? And this is part of how they were able to enjoy and appreciate the neighborhood. So this is a neighborhood where maybe it would have been good to have an HOA for some people and maybe not such a great place for an HOA for some other folks. So it kind of raises the question, how do you know if an HOA is going to make sense for, what you're looking for? And the answer to that question is that first off, what you want to do is check out the rules and regulations for the HOA. Are there things that you want to be doing with your property that an HOA might kind of get up in your business about? And trucks and UTVs and boats and RVs, that's a really good example. Those are things that people really like to use their properties for. If you want to have a classic car you're working on parked in the driveway, you want to make sure that the HOA allows that. Some HOAs might. You just need to make sure that you clear that in the rules before you purchase the property. Same with things like landscaping. If you want to have a vegetable garden planted in your front yard, there are a lot of HOAs that don't let you do that kind of thing. Same with xeriscaping. So if there's certain things you want to do with your property, you want to really check those rules and make sure they're allowed before you spend a ton of money and then you own that house. The other thing that you want to do is you want to check out the minutes from the HOA meetings. And these are like the notes that they take for what the HOA is actually up to. Now, if you notice that the HOA is getting into some activities that don't really jive with what your lifestyle is, if they're out there measuring people's lawns and giving people notices and giving them fines for that, if you notice that they're in litigation that doesn't really seem to make sense or anything like that, those are red flags that you can use to really avoid purchasing in that neighborhood. It's a really good reason to terminate the contract that you're on and then maybe go and find another neighborhood that suits your lifestyle a little bit better. So that's kind of my hot take on HOAs. I do think most HOAs that I see are in really good shape. They're doing their job appropriately, which is to keep the property values high for a neighborhood. So work with your realtor to figure out if an HOA makes sense to you or if you want to look for neighborhoods that don't have HOAs. If there's anything in the world that I can do for you, please reach out and let me know. Otherwise, I'll catch you next week. Thanks.